Okay. All right, Mr. Chairman, we are live and recording.
All right, we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. This is the July 21, 2026 meeting of the City of Charleston Board of Zoning Appeals zoning. Tonight.
Mr. Chairman, we are live and recording.
All right, we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. This is the July 21, 2026 meeting. Thank you. This is the July 21, 2026 meeting of the City of Charleston Board of Zoning Appeals zoning. Present here this evening are Gordon Huey, Robin Richards, Allison Grass, and me, your chair, Jeff Tibbles. Veterans of the BZA meeting process will notice some changes to the agenda and to the process. And so under A3, where we are now, announcements, I'll turn it over to Mr. Summerfield to explain that.
So, Mr. Chairman, members of the board and members of the public. So with the second half of the year, we are introducing some what we believe will be some process improvements that ideally will help the meetings go along a little faster. Those include some restructuring of our agenda to include a new feature or function called One Motion, One Vote, which will allow for those who ever work on board meetings. It's sort of like a consent agenda, but for public hearing items. So those are items that are routine and have staff support. And generally we don't ever see objections to them. And so, and have not received any objections through the public comment public process. So those are items that the chair will read into the record, but then they'll vote on them as a group instead of having individual public hearings like we would normally do. After that, we'll take any items that are from prior meetings, old business, which are deferral items. Once we've concluded those, we'll move on to new business. So you'll see a slightly different arrangement. We will also be taking all the items that we've received deferrals on and having the board take action on the amended agenda from now on at the beginning of the meeting, as well as, well, normally we'd approve the minutes also in this particular segment, but unfortunately we do not have a quorum of members present that were present for the meeting. So we'll have to defer the minutes as well. But with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll turn it back to you. The agenda is as noted with the items indicated that have been requested for either deferral or in the case of item D13 with withdrawal from your agenda.
Okay, and thank you, Robert. I appreciate that. So we're now at a business item number 4, approval of agenda, and I wanted to give you notice that the following items have been deferred or withdrawn from the agenda and won't be heard this evening. The first is item C3, 0 Raphael Lane, which is a second deferral. D1, 24 Cooper Street is not going to be heard this evening. It's deferred. Item D3, 10 Hester Street is deferred. Item D9, 176 Smith Street is deferred. Item D10, 1056 King Street is deferred. And item D13 for 44 Morris Street is withdrawn. Next, we'll talk about the meeting procedures. First of all, I will read each application into the record and open a public hearing. Staff will present the application and city's recommendation. The staff will control the slide presentation. If the recommendation is favorable and no one objects to the application, the board may, but is not required to, approve it. For all applications, the board reserves the right to ask questions of the staff, applicant, or others in attendance prior to rendering a decision. If there is an objection, the applicant and anyone else who is in favor of the application will be allowed to speak on the application. Each speaker must state their name and address for the record. Next, opponents or those who are in opposition to the application can speak. Each speaker again must state your name and address for the record. Finally, the applicant may provide a short rebuttal if wished. The chair then closes the public hearing on the application and opens discussion for the Board of Zoning Appeals members only. The board may vote to approve with conditions, or deny the application. We do have time limits in our meeting procedures. They are subject to modification by me, the chair. The first time limit, the presentation by the applicant or the appellant and others in support of the application or appeal, 10-minute limit, cumulative for all speakers. Number 2, presentation by opponents, also a 10-minute limit, also cumulative for all speakers. Number 3, rebuttal by the applicant is a 3-minute limit pursuant to our procedures. The board may question participants at any point in time in the hearing without affecting the amount of time that a speaker may have remaining. Matters in which additional time is granted may be moved to the end of the agenda. The Board of Zoning Appeals Zoning has the authority to do 3 things. Number 1, hear appeals to decisions of the zoning administrator. Number 2, grant special exceptions, a fact-finding function of the board. And number 3, grant variances to the zoning ordinance if the application meets the hardship test outlined in section 54-924 of the ordinance. The board may deliberate and make a final decision on a matter by a majority vote of members present at the hearing and qualified to vote, provided that not less than a quorum is both present and qualified. However, an affirmative vote of 2/3 of the board members present and voting shall be required before a use variance may be granted. A variance may be granted by the Board of Zoning Appeals in an individual case of unnecessary hardship if the board makes the following findings. A, that there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to the particular piece of property. B, these conditions do not generally apply to other property in the vicinity. C, because of these conditions, the application of the ordinance to the particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property. And D, the authorization of a variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property or to the public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed by the granting of the variance. By our city's ordinance to ask you to take an oath if you intend to speak. Any member of the public who wishes to speak on any item, whether it's an applicant, a representative, a property owner, a supporter, an objector, or any other member of the public in attendance that plans to participate during this public hearing must be sworn in. So if you do intend to speak, please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. You'll signify by saying, I do. Thank you. New for this meeting and continue on in future meetings to try to streamline the procedures, we have 1 motion, 1 vote items. The following items may be considered in 1 motion, 1 vote. And now we're here at B in your agenda. They are considered routine, non-controversial matters with staff recommendation of approval. All items will be opened at one time. Any person representing an application, a member of the public, or a BZAZ member not in agreement with the conditions recommended by staff for the application should request to have the item removed from this part of the agenda. If an item is removed from this portion of the agenda, that item will be heard after old business on the regular agenda. So we do have several items on our consent agenda this evening, and I'll read those into the record. Number 1, 9 Magnolia Avenue North Central, Council District 4. TMS number 463-08-03-026, zoned SR2, BZA 2026-002398. Requesting a special exception under section 54-110F to extend a non-conforming north side setback to build a rear addition. The owner is 9 Magnolia LLC. The applicant is Matthew Sanford, LS3P. D2, 18C Duncan Street, Radcliffe Borough, Council District 6, PMS number 457-11-01-052, zoned DR1, BZA 2026-002399. requesting a special exception under section 54-110F to convert an existing non-conforming porch into conditioned floor space. The owner applicant is Christy Cronin. B3, 246 Cumming Street, Cannonboro, Elliottboro, Council District 4. EMS number 460-08-02-045, Zone DR2F. BZA 2026-002400, requesting a special exception under section 54-501 to rebuild a detached single-family home on a lot of insufficient size. 2,227 square feet are existing, 2,500 square feet are required. The owner is Boston Gray Capital LLC. The applicant is Patrick Orifice. B4, 53 Cannon Street, Cannonboro, Elliottboro, Council District 6, TMS number 459-05-03-008, zoned LB, BZA 2026-002401. Requesting a special exception under section 54-110F to vertically extend a non-conforming 2-foot east side setback to build a second-story rear addition. The owner is Nick Patel. The applicant is Kenneth Miller. B5, 130 Romney Street, North Central, Council District 4. PMS number 463-12-03-113, zoned DR1F, BZA 2026-002403. Requesting a special exception under section 54-110F to vertically extend a non-conforming 2-foot west side setback to build a covered porch, zone DR1F. The owner applicant is Cannon Lynch. B6, 151 Moultrie Street, Hampton Park Terrace, Council District 6. EMS number 463-08-03-031, zoned DR1F, BZA 2026-002404. Requesting a special exception under section 54-110F to vertically extend a non-conforming 2-foot east side setback to build a second-story rear addition. The owners are Robert Highsmith and Stephanie Breckbuehler. The applicant is Skylar Pogston. So that comprises the consent agenda for this evening, and I'll ask the members of the public, and then I'll ask the board, is there any objection? Or would anybody like to speak on any of these items under agenda item B? I'm seeing no one from the public. Any board members have any objection, questions, concerns for the city or any of the applicants on these items? All right, seeing none and assuming that the city has said its piece on these items,
Yes, sir.
we'll go ahead and entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
All right, Ms. Grass moves to approve. Is there a second?
Yeah.
All right, Ms. Richards seconds the motion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None are opposed. The motion passes, and the relief sought in agenda items B1 through 6 is granted for each of the properties listed and located, and which I've read tonight. All right. The next item on our agenda. C, public hearings, old business. Number 108 Cooper Street, East Side, Council District 4. EMS number 459-05-008, zone GB. BZA 2026-002395. Requesting a special exception under section 54-501 and a variance from section 54-301 and section 54-317 to build a detached single-family home on a lot of insufficient size, 1,482 square feet existing, 2,500 square feet are required, with a 3-foot west side setback, 9 feet are required, and a total side setback of 6 feet, 15 feet are required. A lot coverage of 62%, 50% is required, with 1 off-street parking space provided, 2 are required. The owner is Phelpco South LLC. The applicant is Lucas Boyd. Mr. Summerfield.
Mr. Chairman, you can see the property here on Cooper Street. This is a very small property immediately adjacent to the Grace Homes site. The property owner, the applicant is looking to essentially build a home very much in keeping with the other streets in this space of Cooper, fronting Cooper, kind of providing some additional, if you would, depth to the Grace Homes development. Again, you can see this parcel compared to the neighboring two parcels, and even the area that's provided for the similar structures that are on the other side of Nassau is much smaller than those other lots. Clearly, there was some creative subdividing done when the lots here were broken apart to do the Grace Home site. So with that, the applicant is proposing again to do a house that's somewhat in keeping with those very narrow tall structures that you see in this area of Cooper Street. However, because of the nature of the lot, they are requesting a number of deviations from code, including the lot of insufficient size, the various setbacks, and the parking, and the lot coverage. Again, you can see in the drawings how the space is going to be utilized. Again, this is proposing to construct a relatively modest home. There's no request to do anything extravagant with this. It's just to put I believe it's a 2-bedroom home on this lot. Again, pretty small. They are requesting the variance for parking, but again, I don't believe that it's inconsistent with the size of homes that we see in this area. And Cooper Street does allow for on-street parking, which is first come, first serve. I don't believe they have a residential parking program over there. This was deferred at your last meeting. I believe that was at the applicant's request.
Their application.
I'm sorry, at staff's request due to an error in publication. That has been addressed. Again, we do think this is a unique location. We think there's an opportunity here. The proposed home is consistent with, from a zoning standpoint, is consistent with the other homes in that area. The architecture is, based on the drawings, is somewhat different. But in terms of the area deviations, the size, the scope, we believe that it is an appropriate use of this property, even given the deficiencies that the site has. So with that in mind, staff is recommending approval of the special exception to allow for the lot of insufficient size. And with that recommendation, we are also recommending for the variances that would essentially allow a single family detached structure to actually be built on the site.
All right, thank you, Robert. Does anybody here wish to speak in opposition to the application for 108 Cooper Street or Cooper, depending on your preference? Seeing no one in opposition, do we have the owner or applicant present? Or anything you'd like to say to the board, or?
I'm Lucas Boyd, I'm the architect. Small thing, but there's just a typo on the screen with the lot size. It says 1482 square feet or something. Yeah, and it's 2,500 required. It's actually 822 square feet. It's a very, very tiny parcel. That's the area, gross area of that 3 levels, the 1482. So that's just to say it's an exceptionally small parcel. It's effectively acting like a corner lot by way of its by how the Grace Homes has developed, and the setback requests are kind of in the direction away from the neighbors and holding the corner architecturally, so.
Any questions for the owner applicant while he's here?
My apologies, Mr. Chairman, but I'm wishing we would have been aware of that. So because that makes the lot size discrepancy greater, the noticing for now, the second time is not legal. So we will have to renotice this property because that lot size deviation from standard is greater. I really wish we had gotten that information before the meeting this evening. So unfortunately, Mr. Chairman, you guys will not be able to act on that. Staff will have to
Right, so
request
it'll be
that the
deferred.
item be deferred so that we can
We need to
renotice it again.
formalize it with a motion, or we just? Is required?
No, I mean, you can't act on it. It's,
Okay.
it's not a legal application at this point.
All right.
Is there any part that we can vote on?
Unfortunately, no, without getting to the lot of insufficient size to allow for the house, can't get to the variances. Even though those would be separate requests, you need the approval to be able to even build on it. So you need the special exception first.
Can I ask a question? Does this go back to the public notice and the whole process starts again? Because we're now at a stage where we're exposed for 3 months when we were supposed to be exposed for 1, right? So this puts us at a not only development disadvantage, but just general disadvantage.
We have to notice it in the paper and we have to renotice the property. So yes, unfortunately, it will be based on the deadlines for the paper. It will not be able to be heard on the next meeting. Yeah, so the August 4th ad has already gone to the paper because they have very long lead times. So we would be on the August 18th agenda.
This is unbelievable.
I understand.
All right, the next item on our agenda. C1, required deferral. Is C2, 194 Kendrick Street, Crosstown, Council District 6. PMS number 460-10-04-011 and 13. Zone PUD accommodations overlay district. BZA 2026-002381. Requesting a special exception under section 54-220 to build a 175 unit accommodations use. The owner is 194 Cannon Street LLC. The applicant is Dylan Toe, LS3P, Mr. Summerfield.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, this is an item that was before you previously. There was a request made by the Preservation Society to confirm my finding that it was that the requirements that applied for the accommodations use were based on the 2017 code from when the PUD was adopted. Because there was that question that was raised by a member of the public, the advocacy group. The board did defer this item to allow time for staff to confer with legal. That has occurred. Legal has independently confirmed to the Preservation Society that that is in fact the case, as was stated. And Preservation Society has issued a letter. It's technically saying they have no objection, although they don't come out and say those words. So with that, this is an application that is in order. Again, this is a special exception for an accommodations use. The accommodations use was approved under the PUD with the requirement that it still had to go through the BZAZ process. When it came forward, it has previously come forward due to some changing of teams within the development team. That previous approval expired, so they are just getting the BZA approval again for the special exception. Once again, this falls under the special exception provisions that are found in the 2017 code. which is the code that was in effect when the PUD was adopted. So with that, everything is in order, related to this request, and staff is recommending approval.
All right, thank you, Robert. Is there anybody here who wishes to speak in opposition to the application for 194 Cannon Street? Seeing no one in opposition, do we have the owner or applicant present? All right, anything you'd like to say to the board, if we hope it's adequate? Any questions from the board members, the city or the applicant? Seeing none, we're ready for a motion if somebody'd like to make. All right, Ms. Grass moves to approve. Second, Huey seconds the motion. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None are opposed. The motion passes, and the special exception under section 54-220 for 194 Cannon Street is granted. Thank you very much. All right, the next item on our agenda, we're skipping over C3 as being deferred, and now we're at C4, 1185 King Street, North Central, Council District 4. PMS number 463-08-02-044, zoned SR2, BZA 2026-002392. Requesting a special exception under section 54-110F to vertically extend a 1-foot non-conforming rear setback and a variance from section 54-301 to build exterior stairs onto an existing detached garage with a 4-foot north side setback, 25 feet are required. The owner applicant is William Geigs. Mr. Summerfield.
Mr. Chairman, all right, so this is a property here on King Street. You can see how it's oriented there to the corner of Sans Souci Street.
And Susie.
Sans Souci. Seriously, one day, just one day. You can see how the property is oriented there. You can also see here on the zoning map how the detached structure to the rear, which is the garage in question, how close it is to the existing property line, but also how close it is to the existing building. Again, with shadows and stuff, it's not as easy to see it here, but also you can see how that accessory structure is tucked in there behind the house, next to the neighboring property, which is oriented fronting on Sans Souci, whereas this property backs to that one. So you can see the proposed structure that they're, well, there's kind of an image there. So you can see the existing area here. Again, a little more detail on the survey that they have so that you can see how that space is. You can also see from the site photo, like what that looks like in real time, but you can see on the plat they've provided where that area of work is and the existing residence. Again, the proposal is to take an existing garage and add a second floor to it. Within the second floor, they are proposing, I believe this is a full ADU, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so they are proposing a full ADU because they are currently proposing a kitchen, which means they will have to adhere to the city's ADU permitting process as well. Once they get approval, assuming they get approval for building this. However, in doing this, they have, again, a vertical extension because they're going up, but they also have this new stairway up to this second floor that is currently not a part of their garage. So you can see on the elevations kind of how that all shifts around in terms of going from this existing kind of front on Sans Souci to this would now be the frontage on Sans Souci here. This stairway would face their properties neighbors to the north. And this would be the new stairway and landing that comes off of that side. They do have letters of support from folks in the neighborhood. Trying to remember.
There's an additional letter in the public comment packet.
Yes, yeah, that's what I was trying to remember. They do have a letter of support from the immediately most affected neighbor on the vertical extension at 50 San Souci. And then I believe they also had other letters from folks in the neighborhood as well.
Is this the one where we had a late letter from the neighborhood association? One for sure.
No, this is from last meeting. It was deferred.
Okay,
Those two are both on the new business agenda.
Okay.
And both of those are in Wagner Terrace. So staff is recommending approval. We do think that there is some uniqueness with the way this lot is positioned. It is a smaller lot for the area, and the request is essentially modifying the existing building that's already in that space. But in order to utilize that second floor, they do have to put the stairwell. And again, it's very limited on the internal space. They would not be able to park inside there if they built the stairs inside, which then means it's a variance for parking. And so with that, staff is recommending approval of both the special exception for the vertical extension as well as the variance for the encroachment within the setback to allow for the new external stairs.
all right, thank you, Robert. Do we have anybody here who is in opposition to the application for 1185 King Street? Seeing no one in opposition, do we have the owner or applicant present? Anything you'd like to say to the board?
I mean, yeah, just the use of the building that I can't use right now.
Yeah. If you do want to speak, let's go ahead and get your name and address on the record.
Please and thank you.
William Geigus, owner of 1185 King Street. Yeah, it's just a empty garage, so trying to do that, and it does actually have 2 parking spaces on the street in front of it currently. So that was the only thing that was missed there.
And so the first floor remains a garage,
Yes, yep,
your
It is.
garage,
yes, exactly.
and you live in the other.
I do not live in the front anymore. No. I lived in it for years while I renovated it myself, so. Now I'm out, but
So the garage is for the use of the main house.
yes, ma'am, exactly. Storage for the tenants in the first floor unit, et cetera, lawn equipment. Stuff like that.
And those letters of support, they were actually from your immediate neighbors across the street. So they are right across from the.
Yeah, the most directly affected neighbor, as you said, 50 San Souci. He wrote a letter of support. Caddy corner across the street, we got one. Our adjacent neighbor north on King Street, we tried to email or text, leave notes, could never get in touch with her, so. We did attempt to engage her as well, but couldn't get a hold of her.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Yep. Any questions for the city? Any discussion? Ready to vote? We want to make a motion?
Move approval.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Huey. Mr. Huey moves to approve. Ms. Grass seconds the motion. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None are opposed. The motion passes unanimously. And the special exception and variance for 1185 King Street are granted. Thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, if I might, I just want to be clear for the record, the approval is for the variance and the special exception that will allow these improvements. The property will still have to adhere to all the rules regarding an accessory dwelling unit and get a permit for that prior to the interior components such as placing the stove and being able to rent it or occupy it.
Okay, and you understand that, Mr. Vegas? Okay. All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right, the next item on our agenda is C5, 2534 Hara Lane, West Ashley, Council District 5, TMS number 310-01-00-096, zoned SR1, BZA 2026-002393, requesting a special exception under section 54-110F to increase the number of bedrooms in a non-conforming two-family dwelling unit, 4 existing, 8 proposed. The owner is Kingwood Investment LLC. The applicant is Tony Alicia. Mr. Summerfield.
Mr. Chairman, so you can see this property out here on Hara Lane. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. See, it's a decent sized property with a accessory building in the rear. Pretty sure we modified this. Yeah, okay, so we had already taken off the additional information about non-conforming stuff. Okay, so the applicant is proposing to make what I might suggest are significant changes on this property in terms of it's an existing duplex with so this is an existing duplex, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's an existing duplex, but as you can see here, it's takes up a relatively small portion of the lot. It has a shed. It is a decent sized lot, but this is also a single family or a single story structure presently. The proposal would significantly increase the amount of living space on this property, which again is why the special exception is being requested because of the increase in the number of bedrooms for this two-family unit. So the increase in bedrooms on the primary structure is not necessarily a question or issue for staff. We find that the proposed structure is in keeping with the regular zoning in this area. They're not adding anything extravagant. It is a big bump up in the number of bedrooms. The part of this application that creates some confusion / hesitancy for staff is the fact that they do want to build a rear accessory area. It would not qualify as an ADU because it does not have a full kitchen in each of these spaces, but they would be proposing to add what amounts to accessory living space above the garage that would, well, we're not sure. We think that it's a part of, it's not going to be able to be independently rented. So these would be accessory spaces for the tenants of the primary dwellings. But again, staff was not able to get a good handle or understanding from the provided documentation about the second story additional increases in bedroom and living space that's requested as a part of this application. Again, staff truly supports the increased livability, providing opportunities for more families. Two-family dwelling units, duplexes are a great addition. However, we because this application in its total is requesting the construction of the two-story or the second story on the detached accessory structure with additional living space, that we just don't understand how that would function. And that would be a significant increase in the number of bedrooms. over, I think, what the intent of the code for why it requires the special exception when you have non-conforming increases, we could not get to the full request. With that, that's staff's recommendation. I'm sorry, staff's recommendation is denial. However, again, we do support the potential for the primary structures, second floor, and some increase in bedrooms there.
Okay, thank you, Robert. Do we have anybody here in opposition to the application for 2534 R Lane? Seeing no one in opposition, do we have the owner or applicant present? And I think I probably pronounced your name incorrectly. Is it Alisea?
It is Alisea.
Okay, that's better. All right, please state your name and address for the record, sir.
It's Antonio Alisea, 1665 Dogwood Road in Charleston. All right, so the reason I'm requesting the back garage to be part of this process is because the property that's behind this duplex that I purchased is all commercial space and has these tall buildings. And I've kind of had this this process of properties that I purchased where I put these ADUs, and they're like perfect spaces for in-laws, for family members that come to visit people. And so like, this is the worst property on the street, and all the neighbors are in favor of what I want to do. And the idea here is to create 2 single-family homes in a way that they have this kind of space that they can use for, you know, people who work from home, people that come to visit. And that's the intent here. If I can't get the garage, it'd be sad, but I mean, the main home in itself was purchased with the understanding that I could do this, and then later found out that we couldn't do this. So I appreciate you saying that you guys are in favor of the main home. I think the garage in the back will look great, and there are other properties on that street that have garages with ADUs in the back. And towards the beginning of the street, there's like a large parcel that was subdivided into 4 small tiny lots. And so I don't want to subdivide the property, but I want to make it where you have garage space, you have a functional space that an adult can leave with all the kids at home and still work from home type of an environment. And I spent 20 years in the Marine Corps, so I'm always about making wherever I touch way better. And so this might seem overambitious, but it's very in line with what I do with projects I take on. And not that this matters, but this is going to be a personal project for my cousin who's moving here with his mom, and then the other side I will potentially move into and sell my property on Dogwood. So that's it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Alisea. We might have a question for you. I don't know. Any questions? Okay. So we do have a question for city from Ms. Grass.
I didn't know if they had questions.
I mean, I kind of want to just better understand what you're trying to put above those garages.
It's a space where it's a small, you know, office or living room space. The architect added that furniture in there, and then a bedroom that someone who's coming to visit. So basically, one side of the garage and that room above there, that space, would be for this side, this unit, and the other side for this unit. And that's their like designated space together.
But it's not an ADU.
No, it's not ADU, it doesn't have a kitchen, and it wouldn't be allowed because of how much I'm trying to do.
That
It's not
wasn't
an
the
ADU.
intention. I
Yeah.
think that's.
It's just an additional square foot space that they can use. But it will be designated for each side.
I think that was my question to the city is, I'm confused about what it would be considered. I mean, it's almost like a whole new structure, like a,
So it would be an accessory structure. It would not be an accessory dwelling unit because it doesn't have a kitchen, and we the way this property is set up, I don't even know, I don't even know how you do an accessory structure, to be honest. Or an accessory dwelling unit. In fact, I don't think you can have an accessory dwelling unit because I think you can only have one. I don't know, I'd have to look at that closer. I don't want to misspeak that. So it would be the structure itself would be an accessory structure. And then within that would be additional living space. Again, this is all one lot. It's a one lot with a 2-family home in it. So technically this space could be divided like the applicant is indicated, and it like each half is for the use of the folks who live in each of the 2 units. It actually could not have a wall up on the second floor, and it could just be space that's available, honestly, in common or to one of the units, because again, there's no ownership division or anything here. There's no requirement for this space. They have sufficient parking, so or area for parking. So you know, again, the allocation of garage space, that's all a property owner tenant relationship piece. But from a zoning standpoint, this would be an accessory structure. But because there are bedrooms indicated, and we have the issue that this is a property with requests related to the nonconformity, and we have this language in the code about adding bedrooms in a situation with nonconformity. This part just really, again, as an accessory living space that just is kind of, it's open for work from home office or something like that, or it's a place for you know, a kid play area, because within the main floor plan, you know, you are a little arguably you know, it's very like the upstairs is very much the bedrooms and the bathrooms, and the downstairs is you know, kind of that open living space. So you know, a rec room for the kids or whatever. But from a staff perspective, the request was already significant in terms of going up to the second story, adding the additional bedrooms to the primary units, but then adding what amounts to, you know, 2 additional again, not quite units, but like bedrooms within that space with all the other components of it. Again, we are not opposed to anything with regard to the proposed request to the main house. We are not opposed to the garage. We just had the concern about adding the additional bedroom space above the garage, in addition to the added bedroom space that's being added to the primary units.
So in order to frame,
Because the code talks about increasing bedrooms.
if the board wished to follow the city's recommendation, it would say approved with the condition that there'll be no conditioned space above the garage.
There's no bedrooms above the garage, or within above on the second floor of the accessory structure, or within the accessory structure.
Well, we don't have to follow the instructions of the recommendation of the city staff, and we could approve what he's requesting.
You could do that as well. Yes, absolutely.
So, but I'm confused about what we're approving based on this. What, I mean, it's a request for, it's not for the main home addition.
Yes,
It is that?
it is that plus the additional bedrooms currently proposed for the accessory structure. Because the special exception is to allow for basically expansion within a non-conforming, that's the front house, increasing the number of bedrooms. And because that increase in the number of bedrooms flows to the accessory structure, because current plans are showing additional bedrooms within the accessory structure, in addition to the additional living space within those, it's all cumulative. If we remove the bedroom component from the accessory structure, then it's just an accessory structure, a garage with some additional living space above it, that's fine. And then you're back to just approving the special exception related to adding the second story and the additional bedrooms within that, within the 2 main units. And again, staff is fully supportive of that.
Wouldn't that be 6 bedrooms total?
Yes, that would take it down from the proposed 8 bedrooms to 6 bedrooms, I believe, if I've done all the math right.
No, the main house will be 8, so 4 for each side.
Yeah, the
Main
non-conforming area
house.
is the main house itself. So the total change is from 4 existing, there's 2 and 2 split between each unit, and then there's going to be 4 in each unit of the main house. Additionally,
Right.
those 2 bedrooms in the accessory structure would bring the total technically to 10.
Yeah.
So he's seeking
But they're not-
10, and the city is recommending 8.
Yes,
You're okay with the 8. So this first part of the request is really about the main house.
yes, I'm sorry, yes, I apologize, yes, it was it's kind of a transfer thing where, yes, the accessory structure as it sits right now, technically, I believe would meet the zoning requirements. But the reality, because they're asking to double up the number of bedrooms in the main house and then asking for the additional 2, we were like, well, how do we support that many in the main house? And then you've got all of this additional bedroom space going on back here. That seemed a little beyond, again, what the code, but the support for the bedrooms in the main house was always pretty solid. It was just then
If he
adding
wanted
more
to come back
bedrooms to the
later,
property.
could he come back with another application later? Put those 2 bedrooms above the garage if he wanted?
Yes. And that would be, again, if you removed the bedrooms from the back house, that removes staff's objection to the current request. And we would change to a recommendation for approval of the special
So he's got
exception.
some flexibility. in
And
the
then
future.
he could continue to have conversations about what he's gonna do with that second floor above the garage. And then he could request from staff that requests at a future date.
Okay, one more question, so I understand. So there is no garage. Now there's just a storage shed. He wants to build a new building in the back.
But that's not.
He makes all that.
voting.
That would be the garage.
Yes, it would be a garage plus the second story additional living space.
That's his request. The city's recommendation is the garage only without. the
Right,
living
okay, that
space.
was my next question, thank you.
Without the bedrooms, living space, I don't care too much about
Without
the
the
bedrooms.
Okay.
And again, the garage itself is not necessary because he does have
So we
sufficient
wouldn't-
driveway to meet his parking
We
requirement.
wouldn't have to put a condition on him. We could just grant this special exception request and leave it open for him to come back later and request bedrooms on the second story of the
You could
garage.
limit your approval to just the proposed changes related to the 2-unit.
Because we don't have the ability to approve or disapprove of the building of the garage.
Right,
But we can approve this with conditions that there won't be bedrooms in that garage.
Yeah, but I'm not sure why you'd want to restrict him like that for no reason.
Well, that's what the city is basically.
Well, I'm not sure. I think the city is saying that he can't he can't install the bedrooms above the garage without an additional approval. So by,
Is that right, Robert?
An administrative approval, like it'd be through the permitting, so he would have to go through the permitting, but he would need to have approval through the permitting process.
Oh, I see. So we wouldn't have to come back here.
right,
Got it.
From a staff perspective, it's kind of it's a technical distinction for us in that because the plans as submitted would show the 10 bedrooms on the property as currently envisioned, where there's only 4 now. So an increase of 6 bedrooms on the property, you're requesting a special exception to increase which includes an increase in the number of bedrooms. In order for us to get there, we couldn't get there by providing additional bedrooms outside of the main house. Even though, as the chairman is saying, technically, if he separated those 2 out, and he got the special exception today to do the main house, and then came in through the permitting process and was meeting all the other zoning requirements for the accessory structure, that would just be a permit review. And therefore would not be something that staff would have to make this technical objection to.
essentially, staff is okay with the very first part of this.
Yes.
Okay. But the second
That
part
clear as
is
mud?
in here.
So my request would, if I were to have the ability to request a motion, my request would be based on all of this. Would be a motion to approve the special exception to allow for the two family dwelling
Additional
unit.
4 bedrooms in the main.
To,
structure.
right, to allow for 4 additional bedrooms for a total of 8 bedrooms. Period. And that would be what you were approving. And then if he chooses in the accessory building to still come forward with the 2 bedrooms there, that would be a completely separate matter for at the permitting. That, and then it doesn't become an issue here, and it's then not a technical issue for staff or this process.
I think why I'm confused is because the garage and the dwelling or bedrooms in the garage is not on this, in this request.
The language
Yes.
of the ordinance is refers specifically to the non-conforming two-family dwelling.
Right.
So it's specific to just that dwelling. The applicant has been forthright in their application and letting us know their entire plans for this property.
Okay, so that's why I was
Appreciate-
confused, because that part is not on.
Yeah, that's a, yeah, if the applicant was less honest, he would have left that out, and then this probably would never have been
But he's a Marine.
a
We
technical
appreciate
issue
it.
for staff. So again, it's very much a technical issue for staff based on the provisions for the increasing the number of bedrooms. Because that goes to the property, and it's the whole property, not just the building in question. You know, in the analysis that we have to do.
Because he doesn't need us to build the 2-story garage.
Doesn't.
Any other questions? Ready to make a motion?
Move to approve the special exception for the 8 proposed bedrooms in the 2-family.
Okay.
dwelling.
Yep, all right, so Ms. Richards has moved to approve the special exception to allow 8 bedrooms in the existing non-conforming 2-family dwelling unit. Is there a second?
So
All right, Mr. Huey seconds the motion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None are opposed, the motion passes unanimously, and the special exception for 2534 Hara Lane is granted. Mr. Alisea, you have not received nor have you sought specifically approval for putting 2 bedrooms above the garage. From what we have heard tonight, that's a separate process and procedure that you can explore at some point in time in a different forum. All right,
Just, it's part of your permit. You don't need to do a separate land use application. Just when you come for permitting, you can include that.
thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Sure, thank you so much.
All right, the next item, we're into D, public hearings, new business. Number 1, 24 Cooper Street, East Side, Council District 4, PMS number 459-06-01-003, zoned SR2, BZA 2026-002410, requesting a special exception to not provide 1 off-street parking space for a proposed ADU as required by section 54-214F. The owner is Eric Topperwine. The applicant is David Richards. Mr. Summerfield.
This one was deferred.
Ooh,
As
I
part
didn't get my notes right. Okay, sorry, that's deferred. No D1, thank you. Now, I'm gonna write on D3, deferred,
Yeah,
okay?
D3 is also deferred.
So we're on D2, 10 Clemson Street, Wagner Terrace, Council District 6, PMS number 463-07-02-052, zoned SR2, BZA 2026-002405, requesting a variance from section 54-301 to build exterior stairs with a 0-foot north side setback. 9 feet are required. The owners are Kevin Kerrigan and Amy Wolf. The applicant is Tyler Smith Architects. Mr. Summerfield.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, so you can see the property here on Clemson Street at the corner of Clemson and
Pendleton.
Pendleton. You can see here in the aerial as well from a kind of different angle. So the request would be to go from the existing sorry, the existing site plan to build an addition, but as a part of that addition, they're requesting to build these stairs, and Chris is going to remind me because we've had a couple with stairs that I want to make sure I'm not mixing this one up. These are the stairs in question, correct?
Yeah,
They're
the exterior uncovered stairs leading
Yeah.
to the rear addition.
So with the new addition, these stairs would come right out to the property line. As you can see, hopefully you can see, well, you can kind of see in the survey that they have. So the property line is not the curb line. So the curb line is actually out further there. This is an area of the city where there's quite a bit of right of way that was not converted to street that includes sidewalk and double strip or verge or landscape area, whatever, however, whichever part of the country you grew up on. So they did provide some additional information about the stair and how it flows into the house, given the new addition. It is a relatively minor request in the scheme of things. As I said, it's 0 feet to the property line, but then you have the curb further away from where the stair will actually land, and the landing will be on the property. So staff had recommended approval. That said, we did receive correspondence from the Wagner Terrace Neighborhood Association that came in after the public comment period had closed, indicating that they had not had a chance to review this request. And that they would like that opportunity before the board takes action. And as such, did request that the board consider a deferral on this matter. Staff notified the applicant and they requested to move forward with the hearing this evening on this item.
That's
All right.
Hester though, right?
No, one was for Hester.
One was for
There was
Hester, one was
There's
for
two of
Pendleton.
them. Yeah.
Right. They said the same thing about both of them.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay,
And
well,
Hester
that's
just,
a letter.
yeah, no, Hester did decide to defer to allow time to reach out and connect with the neighborhood association. But the folks at Clemson, again, maybe because the minor nature of the exterior stairs, requested to continue.
Thanks.
All right, so do we have anybody here who's opposed to the application for 10 Clemson Street? Seeing no one in opposition, Mr. Smith, anything you'd like to say?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for hearing this. We did want to go ahead and move forward in that the encroachment that we are asking for, we believe is fairly minor. The house currently sits 4 feet across the north side setback. And what we're asking for is an uncovered stair and landing that would be a part of a fairly modest addition. Can we get to the first floor plan, please, Robert? This is fine. The site plan is okay. Fairly modest addition here on the back, which expands the kitchen, expands the entry here. And what we would like to have is an uncovered landing and a stair, which would be the only part that would go over the setback. And the stair would come within 9 inches of the north boundary line. It would still be nearly 16 feet from the curb line. We have the support of the most affected neighbors. Number 12, Clemson Street across the street has written a letter in support, and number 83, Hester Street, the Browns have written a letter of support. I have them here. What I would say is that I did receive the letter this morning. It was dated today. I received the letter this morning from the neighborhood. I did call Mr. Nicholson to try to speak with him. I did not get a call back, but I did try to reach out. We did not expect any opposition due to the minor nature of the encroachment that you're asking for and the fact that we received no opposition from anyone until this morning. Thank you very much.
And I wouldn't even necessarily characterize it as opposition, would you? It was just, we hadn't learned about it. Is that correct? What does the letter say?
Drew, I think what they said was that maybe it's a new policy where they're imposing a blanket opposition for any project that does not come to the neighborhood directly for support.
Okay,
We have worked in Wagner Terrace for quite a long time, and this is the first time that we've ever gotten
Okay.
this, so.
but I guess I meant that they don't oppose it on the substance of the application.
Correct.
They oppose it on the fact that it was not procedurally brought before the HOA before you filed the application.
My understanding was that there was a separate, unrelated project, and they didn't want to play favorites on this. So that's my understanding. Thank you.
Discussion, questions?
We don't usually get requests from them to defer, so I kind of feel like we should give them the opportunity to hear it, but it does seem minor. So I don't know, I'm torn.
You know, I can see a perspective from the HOA if they were saying to one, hey, we object because we haven't heard it, that they would feel funny about not saying that to the other one, even though the other one might be inconsequential. But I know
It's for neighborhood association, not homeowners association.
neighborhood association, thank you.
Different complication.
Community association.
That'd be
Problem. I understand why they did it. It is kind of inconsequential.
You know, if we defer, we'll just have to come back and hear from Mr. Smith again about how eminently reasonable his proposal is.
And I think that if we didn't have those two letters of support from those two
Right, that'd make it
impacted,
tougher.
who weren't really that impacted as neighbors,
Yeah.
since it really is
You
on the
got-
street.
You got this letter from them today?
I got the letter from the
Neighborhood Association.
WCA this morning. It was dated today. Yes.
Yeah, that's. Seems a little tough. It's because, like you said, I mean, like you said, I haven't seen them be very active. I think we were, hoping that they would be, but maybe a letter of the day. Isn't the best way to go about things either.
All right, well, unless there's any further discussion or questions, let's move on one way or the other. Does anybody have a motion?
We'll move for approval.
All right, Ms. Grass, moves to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, Ms. Richards, seconds the motion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None are opposed. The motion passes.
Thanks very much.
And the variance for 10 Clemson Street is granted. Thank you, Mr. Smith. All right, as we mentioned, B3 is deferred. I got that right. Now we're at D4, 11 Montague, Harleston Village, Council District 8. TMS number 457-04-01-090, zone DR1F, BZA 2026-002407, requesting a variance from section 54-301 to build a detached accessory building with a 1-foot east side setback, 3 feet are required. The owners are Thomas and Raven McCutcheon. The applicant is Evan Gonzalez. Public regard, Mr. I'm about to say Batchelor, but that was the last one.
He wasn't in the house today,
Mr.
but.
Summerfield.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, so you can see the property here on Montague. It is a very long property, arguably a little narrow. You can see that the existing form on the property, not just this property, but many of the properties on this block, and if not this area of town, are that the buildings are very much shifted to the side property line, to generally to the east. In this case, and then, really kind of built along that and then leaving the open space, kind of on the western side of the property. The applicants are proposing to build. See if I can get there. So they're proposing to build, so this is the existing rear yard area where they have their pool now. Again, the property kind of maintains the sequencing of the structures right there along the property line. So they're proposing to reconfigure this rear yard area, and as part of that, they would like to include an accessory structure related to the pool. They are going to be modifying and changing up. And so they would like to keep the pool house, cabana, accessory structure, whichever set of terms you'd like to use. Again, it's consistent with the rest of the structures on the property, and consistent with the way this property in particular, but other properties have developed in this area. And again, you can kind of see very long property, how this kind of flows down to this cabana structure that they're proposing. Again, it's not a substantial structure in that it is fairly open with some areas for storage and changing. They do have letters of support from their neighbors, a number of letters of support. All that said, staff, when applying the hardship test, can't get to the unreasonable restriction of the property, or how moving it 2 feet inward for such a insubstantial structure could be a detriment and or a restriction that would be reasonable. And so staff was forced to recommend denial, even though we fully understand why they are requesting to keep it in line the other structures on the property and that kind of historic framework that exists. Additionally, locating it at the setback would not create a from a historic perspective, it would not create an issue with sight lines from the street that would, you know, create an issue with maintaining their and being subordinate and maintaining their historic property.
All right, thank you, Robert. Do we have anybody here who wishes to speak in opposition to the application for 11 Montague? Being no one in opposition, do we have the owner or applicant present?
Good evening, I'm Edwin Gonzalez from Public Regard. If we could just go to the site plan real quick.
This one?
Yep, that'd be great. Our proposal is for a new pool cabana, as Robert mentioned, to be built on the masonry wall, on the east side setback, as with the other structures on the property. This property and structures are under the full easement of Historic Charleston Foundation. And we've gone through that due diligence to get their approval as well as their input on the placement of this structure that best respects the other historic structures on the site. This structure has been carefully placed to abide by Secretary of Interior standards to accompany historic structures, such as following the setbacks and alignments of the historic buildings on the property, stepping back from the facade as to not create hierarchy. Specifically this historic stables right here, so making sure it's significantly stepped back there. And the historic relationship between the buildings being protected. By holding the structure off of the required 3-foot setback, we feel like it would introduce a shift in alignments of the buildings and create more of a floating structure rather than ones that are justified to that east side setback. And then lastly, just to note, there was an existing shed on the property built on that property line in between the main house and the
stable building. We are demoing that shed and pretty much using the same frontage for our pool cabana further down, so. And then last note, just we've received several letters of neighbor support, direct neighbors. As you can see, we have a lot of neighbors along this property line.
Okay, and all the neighbors were supportive of what you're trying to do?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, questions, discussion. I do think that the historic character of a property, did you say there was an easement on it?
Yeah.
Yes, the application of historic conditions that affect a property may not affect all properties and may create a hardship.
You mentioned, demolishing the
The shed.
shed.
Yeah, there's like a lean-to shed in between the main house and the stables.
In that,
I think
in that
it's-
space.
Yeah, I think it's 22 feet wide and we're going back with a roughly 24 foot.
Did you consider maybe moving it closer towards the house?
The pool cabana.
Yeah,
itself.
just,
Yeah, I mean, that again was led by HCF and they just wanted it as far from the historic structures as possible.
Further discussion? Questions?
well, did y'all meet with the city's, BAR staff?
The BAR, it's not visible, so it wouldn't fall under their purview.
I just didn't know if you met with like their preservation staff or, to get-
No,
to get-
just the historic group. The rest of the property construction has gone through BAR, yeah, just not the structure.
All right, Ms. Richards moves to approve. Is there a second, excuse me?
Yeah, I'll second.
All right, Mr. Huey seconds it. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? One is opposed. Motion passes 3-1, and the variance for 11 Montague is granted.
Mr. Chairman, who was the nay vote?
Ms. Grass.
Thank you.
All right. Next item on our agenda, D5-17 LeGree Street, Charlestown, Council District 8, TMS number 457-11-04-111, zoned SR3, BZA 2026-002-408, requesting a variance from section 54-301 to build a detached accessory building with a 23-foot setback. 60 feet are required. The owner is LeGree LLC. The applicant is Sebastian Von Marshall Architect LLC. Mr. Summerfield.
Mr. Chairman, so you can see the property here on the green.
You got it.
You can see the lot is very weirdly shaped. I don't think for some reason our footprint quite does it justice in terms of the site as you compare it to the aerial here. In terms of the house is set back very far from the street. There is quite a bit of yard area. However, I do need to acknowledge that because of the narrowness at this point, while there's fair amount of yard area and gardens that they have back here, because of the placement of the house to this property line, we don't believe that there's sufficient room to maneuver to get back there. That's germane to the discussion because the request is to build a garage that would be in essentially the front yard within the front setback, which is not something that we would normally see, particularly not on a historic property like this. You can see in the photos that have been provided, there is an existing gate and wall and mature trees and landscaping there. This is the area where they do currently park vehicles for the property. So in that respect, this is an area that is currently used for parking. However, there's not an actual parking structure there at this time. And the wall is somewhat modest in that it's not a overly tall wall. There are other areas of the within the general area, as you can see on the gosh, I think you call these precedent photos.
Yes.
Yeah, where you can see some other street facing detached accessory structures and garages that are in some cases a part of the fencing and the perimeter function. So as a part of this application, they are proposing to construct what I would imagine will be a very, very nice two-car garage. But that two-car garage would be right in this area here, essentially, again, going back to the photos, where I believe where they currently have the parking pad now, it'll go here, in close proximity to the gate. I imagine there's going to be some backing into spaces. At any rate, there is more space available on the site. Again, staff has done a site visit. It's a beautiful landscaped garden area. All that said, there are abilities to not have the accessory structure / garage in the front setback, or at least not in the front setback as much as it is. And therefore, staff is recommending, has to recommend denial.
All right, thank you, Robert. Do we have anybody here in opposition to the application for 17 Legree Street?
And we don't have any public comment on this one.
No public comment. And nobody here to oppose. Okay, so do we have the owner applicant here? From Marshall.
Good evening. Thank you, Robert. Sebastian von Marshall with SVM Architect LLC. If you could go back really quickly to some of those precedent images, or actually the aerial images may be a good place to start. So as I'm sure this board is aware, there's a historic development pattern along Legree Street, and I think it's fairly evident in this image that the majority of houses are located immediately on the street. And as a result, we feel that the first part of the hardship test applies to us in that our site is unique and unlike most, if not any other structure in the immediate vicinity. On top of that, our understanding is that the intent of the zoning code and for the setback of accessory structures is to perpetuate the development pattern, which is to say most accessory structures, as we saw actually in the previous application, occur behind the houses. And I think to a certain degree, the zoning code intends for that pattern to be continued. Now, as Mr. Summerfield pointed out, that is a challenge on our lot because of the purpose for the structure, which is a car shed, cannot be placed behind the structure because you can't get a car back there. The narrowness of the lot precludes that. So the application is requesting to place the structure in the front. Now, if you could jump forward quickly to the precedent images.
Where you want me to start?
Right there. So another interesting and fairly apparent fact is when all these houses were built, cars were not something that people had to build around. So garages started appearing in the early 20th century, and you can tell from the vast majority in really a 2-block radius are right on the street. So for example, right around the corner at 14 Lamble, there's a garage, perhaps 30 feet off the street. Right next door at 12 Lamble, you can see that right there. It is directly on the sidewalk. I'm going to jump down these really quickly. This is just at the base of Legree Street. You have a 2-car garage here. Next door to that, another 1-car garage, and next door to that, another 1-car garage. So again, the pattern for development of these garages has occurred for a reason. People want the garages close to the street. One of the major reasons why is that it limits the amount of pervious surface that you have to run all the way back in the yards, right? You don't have to do a long driveway and a large parking pad to get cars further back. So that's why we see a lot of them close. The other thing I'd like to point out is that this board quite recently approved a very similar and a significantly more massive structure at Zero Gibbs, which is a garage as well, right there. And that's a stone's throw from our property. So I believe there's strong precedent for what we're requesting. And then if you could quickly go to the elevations again. Sorry, the other way. There we go. Oh, sorry. So I'm afraid the elevation is a little bit deceiving. It is not in fact a two-car garage. The structure barely fits one Tesla Model X, which is the vehicle that will be stored below it. And for scale, you can see a 6-foot figure here. The two openings that you're seeing are decorative arches to help break up the interior elevation of that facade, which again is in keeping with traditional or historic walls in this part of the city. So you'd have brick walls that would have recessed arches with header courses and then stucco inside. And there are some precedent pictures of that as well. The overall intent, in fact, is to create, it is a simple L-shaped wall with a section of copper roof over it. The total square footage is 196 square feet. So it is significantly smaller than the majority of similar accessory structures. And the goal is to have it really blend in as much as possible and appear like an old section of wall that happened to be roofed over. We did spend a considerable amount of time speaking to the Preservation Society and Historic Charles Foundation about the design, and neither of them opposed. They both thought it was very good in its attempt to really minimize what could be a significantly bigger building. So with that, I thank you, and I welcome any questions you might have.
In regards to the what city staff, they recommended denial, and the reason being 120 feet of space between the existing historic home and front of property line. Did you consider moving it further back from the?
We did, and there were a couple major reasons why we really were hoping to avoid doing that. One was like I mentioned, the amount of impervious coverage on the property. So right now, the property owner has very wisely only paved for parking the front portion of the yard, which reduces stormwater runoff. There's more impervious surfaces further back in the garden for absorption, things like that. The other is that the further we push it towards the front of the house, the more, again, this is going to start competing with the historic facade of the building. So by separating them and pulling them apart, the goal is really to kind of have it read as its own thing and not encroach on or be too close to the existing historic structure, which is further back. Those were two of the main reasons. The third, which probably doesn't factor into hardship test, is that he does have a beautiful landscape garden, which was put in fairly recently when there was a renovation done on the house. The need for this structure became evident more recently when the amount of damage from the adjacent oak tree became aware, or he became aware of the amount of damage that the large oak tree does to the vehicles parked underneath. So the goal was just to cover it.
So the structure would be big enough for a car.
A single vehicle with about 12 inches of clearance around the side.
Sorry.
I apologize because I think in our review, we saw, I guess from the perspective, it looked like it was two-car garage replacing a 2-car parking pad. So now it's a 1-car
covered structure. Yes.
Carport, very classy carport, as would only come from your shop, but carport for one vehicle. So the second vehicle that has to be parked on the property is just going to park in this
directly behind it or on the rest of the apron.
Okay,
that's right. And I mean, not to go into too much detail, but we only anticipate having really one here for the long term.
When we looked at it, we thought it was a 2-car, again, small openings, but still 2-car structure. Now looking at it with that context, just want to make sure that we're maintaining space for 2 full-size automobiles to be able to park on site. Okay, thank you.
Does that affect the city's recommendation?
No, because again, from our perspective, they're taking out and completely understanding the beautiful, beautiful garden that is there. The building could be pushed back further so as to not encroach as much as it is proposed to do. Even though, again, it's being proposed to go in place that's currently parking. Arguably now understanding that it's more of a carport than a full-on garage. But a carport is still an accessory structure in the front yard, so.
Okay. Mr. Von Marshall, how would you respond to the city's position that there's not a hardship?
I would go through the four-part hardship question. First being that our site is unusual and unlike the other properties. Two, I don't think it presents a significant detriment to anybody else in the street. As I mentioned, there are other garages in similar locations on the same street block. You know, it doesn't set I think the precedent is already set, so we're not setting a bad precedent. And again, it seems the scale of the structure, I think, while I understand the verbiage of the code, I think the intent of the code of moving all small accessory structures behind the main buildings in this case simply is impossible on this lot. Could you push it? I mean, could you push it further back? Not without significantly increasing the amount of impervious surface. And in my personal opinion would be that would cause a more significant detriment to the appearance and the enjoyment of the property or the visibility of it from neighbors than the small structure would. The additional runoff, the visual drawbacks of having a large driveway and parking area in front of that house, I think would be unfortunate.
Mr. Chairman, my apologies. Can I ask the?
Sure.
The wall return here,
Mm-hmm.
is this historic?
There is a section of historic wall and then there's a section of new wall. Just from that image, I cannot tell. It appears that I do know that the wall further on the right is a new wall. I believe there's a section of historic wall adjacent to that, but I cannot answer that for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Right.
Cause that would change my argument is about moving it further back, at that point.
Are your clients here?
They are not.
And if I understood the relation to the perimeter wall to now what I understand to be kind of the back of a carport, that would also, I think, potentially have impact on staff's recommendation.
The historic Charleston agreed with your position that it would look better, closer.
Correct. Both Historic Charleston Foundation and the Preservation Society had no problem with the proposed location.
I think the issue I'm having is what the city pointed out as their reason for denial is that, and I'm not sure if you addressed, I know you addressed some of the points of the variance test, but the number 3, that
It would unreasonably restrict or prohibit the utilization.
yeah.
You want to address the unreasonable restriction?
I'm trying to remember what our verbiage was in the application. I think it would contradict a lot of other precedent setting examples and therefore may be considered a restriction in the sense that forcing this owner to move the structure further back when others in the immediate vicinity were not required to do the same would seem like unreasonable restriction. With the recent precedent in the immediate vicinity.
Do you know whether your clients would be available if you tried to contact them, or they?
Unlikely. Yeah, I'm afraid they probably would not be.
Okay, any other questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Baumgartner.
Thank you.
Discussion?
Just from my standpoint, I agree with the city as far as not meeting the variance test, number 3.
I agree. I do think it makes sense.
Mhm.
He has it.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I would say I slightly disagree just because, I mean, it's not a normal parcel. It's a historic home, the garden deep back in it, like I just feels like nothing's restricting it really, I guess, from building it where the city's staying, but it seems like nobody wants that either, so I don't know.
Would you have to remove some of the gardens in order to push it back further?
Yes, I believe you would. You'd have to remove a significant amount of the garden that would become impervious and be paved.
You'd have to remove part of that wall, that's why,
And the wall.
why I
Yeah.
call that,
And
that's
the
why I
wall.
asked that
Wall
question.
may make a difference, and so if the vote is to deny, you may want to consider obtaining that information on reconsideration. Thinking ahead. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna ask something totally different. So,
Go.
okay. Did you speak to the adjacent neighbors, since you didn't have any letters of support? Did you?
Well, we did not, the owner did speak with them and they had no objection to it. The idea is that this will look, there's some pictures of some historic and newer walls in the immediate area. And the idea is that at the end of the day, it will look like a section of wall that happens to have a roof over it. So yeah, there you can see this is the wall immediately next to our proposed parking or the existing parking location that you can see that it has the Bishop's Cap brick along the top, the cap of the wall, and then, in this case, they grew fig ivy on it, grow some plants on it, and then immediately across the street on it, number 10, like you can see a similar wall.
All right, well, we got more on the agenda, so let's go ahead and move forward. Let's hear a motion.
I'll make a motion for denial.
Okay, Ms. Grass has moved to deny the motion. Excuse me, has moved to deny the application. Is there a second? Is there a second? No second? Okay. No second, the motion is not going to make it to a vote. Is there another motion?
Yeah, I'll move approval.
All right, is there a second on the motion for approval? All right, Ms. Richards seconds the motion. We're ready for a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye, opposed, nay, or Ms. Grass. The motion passes 3-1. And the variance for 17 Legree is approved. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Williams. All right, the next item on our agenda, D6 32 Littleton Avenue, Burns Downs, Council District 11, TMS number 421-02-00-092, zoned SR2, BZA 2026-002411, requesting a variance from section 54-301 to rebuild an existing porch with a 5-foot east side setback, 9 feet are required. The owners are Charles Kane and Leslyn Cotter. The applicant is Charles Kane Formboy. Mr. Summerfield.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, so you can see the property here on Littleton Avenue, just before the street curves. You can see here in the aerial, the home in question. And you can. There. So, you have a, existing screen porch. I believe that the request would be to take that screen porch and enclose it. Is that correct?
They're rebuilding it,
Rebuilding it, I'm sorry.
resulting in a change in roof line.
Well, which will, yeah, result in the changing room. Thank you. Sorry, did we have another one that is a roof, a porch that they're enclosing, sorry. They run together a little bit. At any rate, this is a relatively minor request in that they are requesting to rebuild the porch. It does change the roof line on the property and create kind of a new view, I guess, for this. The applicants have gotten letters of support from neighbors at 30, so this immediate neighbor here, and at 40, so this immediate neighbor here. So they've gotten support from neighbors on both sides of the property for the proposed reconstruction. It does increase the height of that portion of the home with the new roof line. And so staff is recommending approval.
All right, thank you, Robert. Is there anybody here who wishes to speak in opposition to the application for 32 Littleton Avenue? Seeing no one in opposition, do we have the owner or applicant present? Mr. Kane, anything you'd like to say? You don't have to. Nope. All right. Anybody have any questions, discussion?
Move for approval.
All right, Ms. Grass moves to approve. Is there a second? Mr. Huey, Ms. Richards, pick one. I'll pick Mr. Huey. Saw his hand first. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None are opposed. The motion passes. And the variance for 32 Littleton Avenue is granted. Thank you, Mr. Kane. Okay. All right, the next item on our agenda, D7 93 Smith Street, Harleston Village, Council District 8. EMS number 463-08-02-044, Zone DR 12. BZA 2026-002412, requesting a variance from section 54-301 to build a porch with a 0-foot rear setback, 10 feet are required. The owner is Mishu Patel. The applicant is Taylor Murray. Mr. Summerfield.
Mr. Chairman, so you can see the property here on Smith Street, just a little south of Calhoun. Again, this is an area of the city that's the DR 12, which is a more dense area. In fact, you can see that this is an area where you have a number of different form types, including single family attached and townhomes here. You see the lot here. Again, this is a relatively small lot in terms of it's a 27, a little over 27-foot wide by 45 feet long, give or take a few centimeters, which I just mixed metric with imperial, but that's okay. So you can see where the proposal, again, it's this porch area here. They're proposing to do a screened in porch. So taking the current back porch, which looks like this, and going and screening that in, creating a new roof line above the current area, and which results in the variance for the encroachment. Again, this is a CAD photo sim. So we know this is not exactly how it will be built. But to that end, staff did, in looking at the picture and the fact that there's not these elements necessarily on the sunroom drawings that are provided by the contractor, that you have portions of the eave and gutters that do appear as if they may go onto the neighboring property as compared to the existing home where you can see how they're very careful that water comes down and stays on site. Staff is supportive of this. It's screening in the porch, allowing for an existing area that's already a part of the home in terms of being the porch to being closed. However, again, just out of it wouldn't make it through permitting if it showed that it was crossing the property lines or what have you. But because of the elevation image that's in the packet, we did have the following, if approved, condition that we would make a part of our recommendation, that the eaves and gutters of the proposed covered porch do not extend outside the property lines of 93 Smith Street. Again, it's a reiteration of proper code, but given what we saw in the imagery, we just wanted to restate that.
All right, thank you, Mr. Summerfield. Anybody here who wishes to speak against the application for 93 Smith Street? Seeing no one in opposition, do we have the owners or applicants present? No owners or applicants here. All right, so questions?
Move for approval with conditions.
All right, and the condition being the eaves and gutters of the proposed covered porch shall not extend outside of the property lines of 93 Smith Street. Is there a second? Ms. Richard seconds the motion. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None are opposed. The application for 93 Smith Street is approved with the condition that the eaves and gutters of the proposed covered porch shall not extend outside of the property lines of 93 Smith Street. I know we've been going for really 2 hours and we've got a few more. Does anybody need a break or you want to power through? Okay. Yeah, I'm fine. All right, so let me get this down here. Is that a condition that's going to be attached, or do I need to write it down?
We're going to attach it.
I saw this, I see attached. Okay. All right, the next item on our agenda is D8. 173 Wentworth Street, Harleston Village, Council District 8, EMS number 457-03-04-015, zoned STR, BZA 2026-002413, requesting a variance from section 54-301 to allow a 1-foot rear setback for an existing detached accessory building. The owners are Thad and Heather Wilson. The applicant is Thad Wilson. Mr. Summerfield.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, so you can see the property here on Wentworth Street, just east of Ashley Avenue. It's definitely an irregular lot in that it has this almost Tetris-like look to it with the kind of stair-stepped rear property line. Here you can see it in the aerial. The item of question is a accessory structure that has existed on the property for quite some time here in this rear area. The applicant essentially not realizing what all was involved, moved that to get it a little further away from the wall. They also used it for some pool equipment and essentially maintained the non-conforming setback on the rear of the property by moving it with a slight expansion. To be clear, this is something that's existed for quite a while, had been, I think, in poor repair. The applicant, in an effort just to repair it, made some adjustments. Those adjustments do not appear to have been, from a staff perspective, detrimental to the adjoining properties or this property. They do not arguably exacerbate any zoning deviations or conditions such that they should cause any kind of issue. Staff is in support of the approval to continue the shed with its rear setback, but in its adjusted position. The applicant does have a letter of support that came in through the Innovate site from the neighbor at 76 Ashley, which is right here, which would be the neighbor most closely affected by the, I believe, right? Yeah, most closely affected by the shed, and they are, it's a very long email, but I believe as I read it, they are in support of, I don't think they actually say those exact words, but.
We are.
Well, yeah, okay, I've read between the lines, and I believe that they're in support of the application.
We're Tom and Don Blackman, not Tom and Don Ashley. It's something happened and a mistake was made on the email
No worries,
website.
no worries.
All right.
Like I said, with that, staff is recommending approval, and we only received that one public comment and support from those immediate neighbors.
Thank you, Robert. Do we have anybody here who wishes to speak in opposition for the application of 173 Wentworth Street? Being known in opposition, Mr. Wilson. You gonna say anything, or you just here to observe?
I'm here with my brother to help if needed, but just here to answer questions. And we also have other neighbors, the Hubbles, Vance and Hubble are also here. Please support.
Okay, so we have neighbors in support, owner's brother lawyer. We got a phalanx of folks in support here. Okay. We'll see if you're needed. Anybody have any questions?
Dinner and wine after.
All right. No questions. We have a vote.
I'll move approval.
All right, Mr. Hugh moves to approve. Is there, Ms. Richards seconds the motion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None are opposed. The motion passes, and the variance for 173 Wentworth Street is granted. I'm sorry that you had to wait all this time. Not a lot of drama here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, y'all take care. All right. Next item on our agenda has been deferred. That's 176 Smith. The next item on our agenda has been deferred. That's 1056 King. Next item on our agenda is D11 3951 West Ashley Circle, West Ashley, Council District 5, PMS number 301-00-00-0-362, zoned LI, BZA 2026-002416, requesting a variance from section 54-404S to allow the placement of a banner sign. The owner is Walmart Real Estate. The applicant is Heather Daniels, HFA. Mr. Summerfield.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, so this is a somewhat unique situation in that you have a large suburban retail location for this Walmart that is off of West Ashley Circle. Because of the way our code is written, it's not necessarily anticipating this type of signage in this location or in this area. The applicant has had to come forward to request to be able to do their banner signs. Their banner signs are a part of a collective program of signage as they are upgrading this retail location with substantial both interior and exterior improvements, and then updates to signage throughout the property. Again, the only sign type though that they are proposing that requires action by the board is for these banner signs. These would be interior to the property on existing poles. These aren't out on the, again, what we would normally think of as the banner signs like you see in the downtown area on streetlights, or even here at the Gilliard when you're walking through the park on your way back to the garage. But because the code, it does not have a provision to allow them, that sign type did require them to come forward for this variance, and staff is recommending approval as it's again, it's appropriate, it's all internal, it's not gonna be a detriment to the neighborhood. And it is kind of a unique situation with how the site is placed and the zoning. What have you.
All right, thank you, Robert. Do we have anybody in opposition to the application for 3951 West Ashley Circle? Seeing no one in opposition, do we have the owner applicant? Anything you'd like to say? Any questions?
So what's your question?
Thank you. Any questions? Ready for a motion?
Move approval.
Mr. Healy moves to approve. Is there a second? Ms. Grass seconds the motion. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None are opposed. The motion passes, and the variance for the placement of the banner sign is granted for 3951 West Ashley Circle. Thank you. All right, the next item on our agenda, D12, 2204 Mount Pleasant Street, Kiowa Homes, Council District 4, TMS number 464-13-00-028, zoned GB, BZA 2026-002417, requesting a special exception under section 54-501 and a variance from section 54-301 to build a detached single-family home on a lot of insufficient size, 1,827 square feet are existing, 2,500 square feet are required, with a lot coverage of 70%, 50% is the maximum, and a west side setback of 3 feet, where 9 feet are required. Mr. Summerfield.
Mr. Chairman, members
Oh,
of
excuse me, I'm sorry. The owner is Mark Gibbons and the applicant is McNair Design and Development. Now, Mr. Summerfield, sorry.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, you may remember this site, I believe we had action on it a couple months ago.
Yes.
Yeah, a couple
Back
months
in
ago. Essentially to allow for the potential subdivision of the lot so that they could then come forward at this time and propose a residence to be built, a single family detached residence that would be available for sale as a single family lot on this property. Bless you. So you can see the existing photo. Again, this is in an area next to Kiowa Homes that has a number of different housing types, including apartments, single family residences, multiple single family residences on existing lots, including the neighboring lot that has the two homes here. The existing building is a older commercial building that would be proposed for demolition, and in its place would be a single family residence. Again, to accommodate parking and everything else, they are proposing a relatively narrow home on the lot. This picture is not indicative of the house because they don't have a house yet picked out, but it gives the kind of the image of what they're aiming for in terms of multi-floor potential for park under at this location. The request is for the as often happens with these smaller lots, infill development. So we have a special exception for a lot of insufficient size. Staff is recommending approval of that. Then in order to accommodate the single family home and to create the envelope that they need to accommodate all the various elements, they are requesting a variance to allow for a lot coverage of up to 70%. Where presently the maximum for the zoning district is only 50. And then they are requesting the west side setback be reduced to 3 feet. Currently, that's 9 feet. and there's the west side setback. Again, that allows them to be able to fully include space between the existing house that's kind of on the lot that, again, you all were able to and approved for the subdivision. Staff is recommending approval of both of these requests.
All right, thank you, Robert. Do we have anybody here in opposition to the application for 2204 Mount Pleasant? Being no one in opposition, Mr. McNair, anything you'd like to say?
Here to answer any questions.
All right, other questions?
Move for approval.
Ms. Grass moves to approve. Is there a second? Mr. Huey seconds the motion. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None are opposed. The motion passes and the special exception of variance are granted for 2204 Mount Pleasant. All right, last but not least, we're skipping over the 1344 Morris, which has been withdrawn, and we are now at D 838 Minnie Street, Maryville, Ashleyville, Council District 9, TMS number 418-11-00-117, zoned SR2, BZA 2026-002419, requesting a special exception under section 54-501 and a variance from section 54-301 to build a detached single-family home on a lot of insufficient size. 4,355 square feet are existing, 6,000 square feet are required, with a 23-foot rear setback. The owner is Arthur Lee Brown. The applicant is Northway Low Country 2026 LLC. Mr. Summerfield.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, so this property on Mimi is kind of middle of the block, just east of Sycamore Avenue. You can see here, this is a vacant lot presently. You will recall the board has looked at a number of properties in the vicinity of this location, including one, just a couple properties down the street. So the proposal, again, this is an existing residentially subdivided lot that has the SR2 zoning. It is was legally subdivided. That said, it is a lot that, again, does not meet the current SR2 standards that were imposed after subdividing in this community generally took place. And so you often will run the risk in this neighborhood with lots that don't conform to the lot area, the current lot area requirement within the zoning. So that's the special exception for the lot of insufficient size. The applicants are proposing, in order to again try to keep the house contextually sensitive to the adjacent properties, they are moving the house forward on the lot as far as they reasonably can do that. However, to achieve the program of the living space within the house that they're proposing, they still are not achieving the full rear setback of 25 feet. And so they are asking for a variance that would allow for a reduction of that rear setback. Again, 2 feet. Correct. Yeah. So I do want to acknowledge that they have moved the house as far forward as would be reasonable to make that contextual alignment along the street there. We did not receive formal public comment via the public comment portal. However, I did receive correspondence from Ms. Higgins, who is the neighborhood president for the Maryville Ashleyville Neighborhood Association. She did raise some questions on behalf of a neighboring property. I hope I've answered questions relative to the noticing of this item and that it was noticed correctly. However, in her correspondence with me, she did raise a question as to whether the site plan survey that we have is in fact accurate, or does it depict land that I believe a neighbor believes is a part of their property. And while that is not something that we get in the middle of, I think based on the correspondence, there was within there a request to have this item deferred so that the parties could get together and compare surveys and make sure that, particularly since there was a request for a lot of insufficient size, if the survey is wrong and that lot area is less, then the item would have to come back to this board. So if there's been area included within the survey that may belong to someone else, and that results in a smaller lot, then that would result in a requirement to come back and do this process over. So again, I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, but my takeaway from the correspondence with Ms. Higgins was a request from, I believe, her capacity as the neighborhood association president for a deferral to allow the applicant and the neighboring property owner to get together, compare their surveys, and just make sure that this item is heard on the most complete information possible. With that, staff was recommending approval consistent with other recommendations that we've made for similarly situated sites. However, that was before the correspondence with Ms. Higgins. With that information, our preference would always be that the board is acting on the best information. So if there is a question as to the survey and whether a line is in the right place, therefore the measurements are all correct, we would rather have that resolved before the board takes action and then has to come back and fix that. That said, boundary line disputes are a civil matter and not necessarily something that can be resolved by this board. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thanks, Robert. Do we have opposition? Yes, okay. So the applicant owner want to come up and tell us about what's going on?
Good evening.
Name and address for the record, please, sir.
Yeah, good evening. Appreciate you taking the time to hear us again today. Honestly, we.
Name and address for the record, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Chris Ramsey, with
Thank you.
Wade Homes.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we, this survey dispute was something new as of yesterday. We've done our diligence and we had the surveyors out there a couple times. And we believe that the survey is correct. We had no reason to not think so. And then as far as what we were requesting is pretty standard for what we've done in here before. Just looking to build a single family residence that would comply with a lot of the other developments that have happened within the neighborhood and have been granted approval by you guys in the past.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ramsey. Anybody else who wishes to speak in support? Okay, so we'll hear from anybody who's in opposition. Good evening, Ms. Higgins. How are you tonight?
Good evening. I'm Marcia Higgins, president of the Maryville Ashleyville Neighborhood Association. I do thank Mr. Summerfield for explaining the concern about the encroachment very clear. And there is an issue about the property line. However, first we would like to address that the agenda states the owner as Earthly Brown. Now, Earthly Brown is deceased. And I believe this estate is still incorporated. I'm not sure how this is handled in terms of research of the matter of the owner. But I did contact her son today. I just was able to get in touch with him to speak about their involvement, with the property. and also their opinion about the property being sold. And so, I would like, he's present, William Brown is present. Their two sons, Glenn Brown and William Brown. Glenn lives in Charlotte, I believe. But William resides in Charleston, so he's here and he'd like to make comments about the ownership of the property and their opinion about building on the property.
All right, good evening, Mr. Brown. How are you? Please state your name and address.
Yeah, I'm William Brown. I live 2143 Clayton Street, West Ashby. And I came on behalf of our property. And we just want to know what's really going on, with it. We have all of the property paperwork. And we understand, they said it was so we have all the proper paperwork. We have the surveyor, all the surveyor papers, everything, taxes paid every year. So, I don't understand what all this is all about. We don't understand, my brother and I. We can't figure out, what's going on here.
Well, let me ask you this, Mr. Brown. Do you have a reason to believe that their survey is inaccurate in some
I
way?
have my survey, and I had it, I even had it surveyed 2 or 3 times.
And your survey disagrees with his?
Yeah.
How? How so?
Well, what I'm saying is I had my survey years ago when we.
But how is it different from Mr. Ramsey's survey?
Can I see that paper? Can you look at it?
Sure.
Mhm.
Now, again, as Mr. Summerfield said, we're not here to resolve any boundary dispute. But I'm just trying to understand whether or not.
And in reality, like I said again too, I have the survey paper, but I do not have no intentions of selling the property.
Right.
Right, at all.
No.
And no one got in touch with me.
Oh, you're saying this is
right.
property that is belongs to you.
Right. And I don't have no intentions of selling it.
Okay.
So I don't even know how, all this came about.
Well, do you have any papers from the probate court that show that you're?
Yeah, we do. We have everything.
Okay.
Yes. We have all the proper papers.
And so are you contending that you're a record owner of the property, of the lot?
Yes.
And that you didn't agree to sell it to
Not at all.
Ramsey or to Northbridge or
No.
Northway?
I don't even know how all this came about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe you could explain.
This house was on the open market. We've entered into a purchase agreement with your state.
Oh, no.
There's a sign in your front yard, just go through the pictures.
Okay, well, let's hold on. We're gonna make an orderly process here.
Mr.
So-
Chairman,
Yes,
not to interject, but now I apologize to you, I apologize to everybody. In reviewing the application packet, because the question of ownership, we just wanted to make sure we could answer anything that you all might. The application is not signed. Part of the application process requires the application to be signed by the owner of record or an authorized representative. Absent a signed application, we don't have a legal application to act on. So this has been noticed properly and all of that because the record still shows ownership is Miss Brown. At least per county records. The applicant has provided his information. However, it's being an unsigned application that was not.
so the owner has to sign each and every application to the BZA.
Correct. The owner or an authorized representative.
Okay.
And in the signature, they are acknowledging that all the information within the application, including the information about ownership, is correct. To
So we
their,
would need some execution by the current record owner.
yeah, we would need something to go along with the application indicating that the applicant is authorized to make application on behalf of the owner.
Okay. All right, Mr. Brown, give me a second. Let me talk with Mr. Ramsey real quick. Thank you. Mr. Ramsey, tell me about your contract.
I'm looking through that right now.
Okay. Do you have a contract with the estate?
Yes, sir. Let me get.
Do you know whether or not the application was signed by a representative of the owner?
It appears that might have been an oversight.
Okay. I'll give you a minute to figure it out.
Thank you so much. Who's Glenn Brown?
Did he sign the application?
Not this application, but our previous.
He signed the contract?
Sir.
Okay. So Mr. Glenn Brown signed a contract, but nobody signed an application. Oh, excuse me, hold on. Let me ask Mr. Ramsey the questions. You're free to have a discussion with him afterwards. We're on public time, we're on volunteer time. Mr. Ramsey, did Mr. Brown, Mr. Glenn Brown sign the application for the variance?
It appears that it does not in my
Okay.
records.
Okay, so it seems like what Mr. Summerfield is saying is in order for us to properly have jurisdiction over this matter and be able to make a vote, that's something that's required under the city's zoning ordinance. And so you'll have to go back and get a signature before we can make a decision on this.
Understood. We'll resubmit.
Okay.
You won't need to resubmit, you'll just need to, this item will be deferred pending additional documentation to make it a complete application. So it's not a complete resubmittal. It could be, if the board voted to defer the item, it could be deferred to allow the applicant to get us the additional information we need for a complete application. Or the applicant can just withdraw this application because it is incomplete and then just supply us with a complete application when he's ready to move forward.
What would you prefer, Mr. Ramsey, deferral or you want to withdraw it?
Defer.
Okay. All right, does somebody want to make a motion to defer?
I'll move deferral.
Okay, we got a motion to defer from Mr. Huey. Do we have a second? Ms. Grass seconds. Motion, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None are opposed. The matter is deferred and you'll have an opportunity to correct that. And in the meantime, I would suggest that you have a conversation with Mr. William Brown to see what his perspective is on things and whether or not his signature was necessary. As part of the estate, it may have been that Glenn Brown was the personal representative. He may have had the authority to sign. I don't know. I am a lawyer, but I'm not a lawyer for you and I'm not a lawyer for you. So y'all are gonna have to figure that out.
We will do our diligence.
And Mr. Chairman, for the record, that item will be deferred for at least 30 days because if there is any update to the ownership information, we will want to properly notice that change. And so it will be deferred for at least 30 days while we get that information completed and submitted.
All right, Ms. Higgins, what's your comment real quick?
Okay. My comment, Mr. Ramsey, is that I spoke with Glenn Brown today. He would be here tonight if he were not living in Charlotte. He wanted to be here. He made it clear that he was not in agreement to sell the property to Mr. Ramsey.
Okay, well, apparently Mr. Ramsey's got his signature, so I don't know.
But we actually see the same, where's the same about the street?
You guys.
That's a outside in the hallway
That's a
conversation.
premises conversation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Higgins. Yes, ma'am. You know, I'll always listen to you, so go ahead, please.
General comment.
Yep,
Recently, we have been having, property owners listed, and it was the person who was deceased. This is at least about the fourth time. And I would really, Mr. Summerfield, like the city to look closely at those requests with the owner being deceased. Because you know, we, you know, I do my homework on it, and I do respect the property owners and Mr. Ramsey and the whole situation, but we try to get the whole story, you know, about the property. And we can mainly do that from the family. But I really think we need to take a close look at the owners, you know, the owner being who listed is deceased. And the other point I would like to make is that I would like the city to consider that the owner be present during these meetings, the owner and the applicant, that both are present.
So we are rewriting our zoning ordinance right now, and so
It's just a close consideration.
I'm sure that the city will make that, take that point into consideration. Thank you, Ms. Higgins. Appreciate it. Yes, ma'am. All right, meeting adjourned.
Thanks to everybody. I know this was a rocky, this is our once a month meeting because it was July, which made the agenda longer.
Yeah,
We did it without Christina, who we dearly miss.
now everybody survived, and it's
Yes, nobody died.
everybody made it. We had longer meetings.
Yeah.
It was especially stressful for the all.
All right, y'all have a good night.
Thanks for it.
I think I'll, yeah.
I know, man.
Thank you for your email, Ms. Emily.
Are we off?
Are we fully